And that is actually absolutely going to happen this Sunday, tomorrow.
Hello. We are just coming on. Are you having a backroom talk, sir?
No, I'm just saying people should come join us tomorrow. We have a meeting.
But they didn't hear you, Jeff. We just came on.
Sorry. They should definitely join us tomorrow at Midwest Speaking Professionals. And you can come hang out with us and check us out. But for now, we're excited that you're here with us. My name is Jeff Stein. With me is the incredible, spectacular Barbara Beckley. And you didn't come to here to listen to us talk. So let's get right to it. Let's bring in our finalists.
Well, before we get right into it, we want to welcome people in because I know we're going to be talking to our finalists, but we also have people coming in from all walks of life, all in different directions of the U.S. and from other countries.
Sure.
So I want to really push everybody to do your comments because you make this event powerful as well. So I'm seeing a lot of people from Kathy from District 9. We're Rich Hopkins. Okay. See, we have some people that's loving them. Yeah. I'm loving this. Look at this.
Absolutely. I've even seen some former finalists in the audience and semifinalists in the audience this morning. So
we've got leadership coming in here.
Leadership. Okay. Absolutely. So rather than us sitting here talking about, and if you've got questions, drop them in the chat. We will definitely get to them. And absolutely, I guess that's a good place to start is where Ralph started. One of the reasons we do this is because of our very own Midwest Speaking Professional, Eric Feinendegen. I'll let him introduce himself, though.
Okay. So with that, we are going to bring the finalists on. I'm going to just automatically appear. We have first Mr. Eric. Yay!
Hello, everybody. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am super excited to be here. And what an unbelievable day, the World Championship of Public Speaking. As someone who's made this journey, as well as other finalists on this panel, I know we have some finalists and even some world champs in the audience here. It's just a monumentous day, and can't wait to talk about it and share in the excitement. So my name is Eric Feinendegen. I'm a 2-time finalist in the World Championship of Public Speaking. My years are 2015, where I competed out in Las Vegas, and also 2018, where I competed right here in my hometown, Chicago. It was an unbelievable time, and hoping to get back to the World Finals. But thanks for having me. Looking forward to a lively and entertaining discussion.
Okay. Then we let's bring up a queen, Mrs. Linda Marie. Yay!
Can you hear me? Am I off mute?
I can hear you. Yes.
Awesome. Linda Marie Miller in the house, here to, let's just say I'm in a mood. You all who know me know I don't pump sunshine up skirts. I tell it like it is. And I'm hoping we can do a little bit of that. I am an avid contest fan. I love this contest. I think entering the contest is the only way Toastmasters can really improve. because, as the great Darren LaCroix says, great speeches aren't written, they're rewritten and rewritten and rewritten and rewritten. And the contest is the only place I know of where you get that kind of practice. I was the first runner-up in 2020, which was, I think, the first only online event. And then after that, I think it was hybrid, or maybe 2021 was also online. I also competed last year in Nashville, where some people walked out on my speech, which is always, for me, if people aren't walking out, you're not making a difference in the life of people. So most people know I'm a provocative speaker. I want to deliver speeches in the world that make a difference. And as most of you know, and I see everybody in the chat who has reached out to me and sent me your love and condolences. My husband died 3 weeks ago tomorrow. So I am really in the space called life is short. Don't waste my time. Give me a message that changes my life, that impacts me, something I can use. And that's the eyes and the ears that I went into in looking at the semifinals. And it's the eyes and ears I'll use in the finals when I break it down. So anyway, that's it. So anxious to be here, and especially with my friends and colleagues who I know will also tell it like it is. Back to you.
Awesome. Okay, before we bring on the other two past finalists, I just want to please, everybody, put your name in the chat. Tell us where you're from. Give us some love here. We want to make sure that you're, like you said, included in the discussion. I'm mandating the comments, so I want to make sure that you get on screen as your comments are coming in. So with that, we're going to go to Mr. Rich.
Hey folks, Rich Hopkins, often known as a serial contestant, which is probably related to the fact that I competed in the International Speech Contest 19 out of the 24 years I have been a member of Toastmasters. I have gone to district 12 times, which means I am a 4-time loser at district. I am a 6-time loser at the semifinals, and a 2-time loser at the World Championship of Public Speaking. So who else would you want commenting about the World Championship today except someone who's lost as often as I have? But before you think I'm just one of those Toastmasters who competes, I'm also a 2-time DTM. So there you go.
Woo, 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 woo. 2-time DTM. Oh, wow. You going to go through a triple?
And Rich, what years?
Say that.
Rich, what years were you in the finals?
2006 when I took third, 2008 when I tied for fourth.
Awesome. Okay, now we can't get this party started unless we have our last finalist from the past, and her name is Miss Luisa. Yay!
Good morning. Thank you, first of all, for allowing me to be here with these great people. Rich, you put up some statistics. I'm going to try to live up to that just because I love you so much. It's great. Back in 2019, I got on the stage, international stage, the first time I had won at district, the first time I went as far as I did. I did come in first runner-up, or as a woman came up and told me, she said, "You're the best female speaker of 2019. That's only because I won right behind Erin Beverly." So it's the way you look at things. Thank you so much for having me here. Let's have fun here.
Okay, with that, let's just hop right to it. There's a lot of people in this audience who are watching us who have some have. There are a couple who have been to the finals. They have been in this situation, but a lot of them have not. And you win semifinals, and I think all 4 of you can really make it clear that next 48 hours could be some of the craziest things that have ever happened to you. You're about an hour. We're about an hour out right now from when they're going to take stage. What was it like an hour out for you when you were about to take stage? Or what are they thinking about right now? What's in their minds? What are they feeling? What are they thinking about? And don't anybody ever start at once.
Jeff, I'll go ahead and take that one first. One of the biggest things for me, and it was a challenge, is making that shift from your semifinal speech over to your final speech. Because for the last, 4-6 months, you've been rehearsing that semifinal over and over again. Yes, you're still practicing that final speech, but you don't know if you're going to make it to the world stage. So at least for me, my biggest focus was nailing that semi-final speech. And then, great, if I make it through, you got to make that shift. Again, fully prepared, but it's that mental loop continues to roll that speech. So making that shift was the biggest thing. The second thing, and I'm sure the other finalists will second this, it's literally managing the cornucopia of emotions going through. You've got excitement, you've got just fear, you've got reservations, you've got hope. Every emotion that you can imagine is running through your body. And it really is managing that, staying focused, right? And giving the speech that you came to give in that world stage and serving the audience.
I got something for this too. Jump in here. Last year, I was extremely nervous because I'd been in online, but I had not been on the big stage in Nashville or in any convention. And I was very nervous, and I'm walking around just in a little bit freak out. And I come across someone who I had met, a wise man that was walking around Nashville. And he said, "How are you doing? Can I give you any last minute advice?" I said, "I'm nervous. What am I supposed to do? I'm afraid I'm going to get up there and just start shaking." And he said this. He said, think back to when you were a kid and you made a present for your mom or your dad. And you made it at school and you worked on it, and you worked on it, and you worked on it. And you might have thrown away the first one because it looked like crap. And then you made it again. And you've made this thing that you think is beautiful. And you're anxious because you can't wait for them to open it. Maybe Mother's Day, maybe Father's Day. That's what you're doing today. You have been working on a present for the world. And you are now having the opportunity to unwrap it in front of them. That is the type of anxiousness that isn't nervousness. And that one little story and anecdote that he shared with me made all of the difference. Then I was just like, yes, I get to share this present I've worked on for a year with the world. Let's do this. That took away my anxiousness, my anxiety. Back to you.
Absolutely. It's funny. Alexander mentioned something. So the night 2009, the formula was different. Finalists knew they were finalists for about 2 months. Do you think the new formula is better or not? We'll address that. I know that's kind of a powder keg.
Yeah, well, Jeff, let me talk about that for a
You're a little
second.
muffled. Jeff, you're a little muffled. Just to let you know.
Okay.
And that is that, my 48 hours wasn't 48 hours. It was 2 months, which was a different type of anxiety as you spend that 2 months practicing for every club who wants you to come practice, rewriting, hoping after 2 months you actually get up there and do something that's worthwhile. But the international contestants didn't have 2 months. They had roughly 3 days because they did what people are doing today, which is having 2 contests for districts not assigned to region as it was back then, where Jock Elliott repeatedly competed, Mark Hunter competed, all sorts of people whose names you are familiar with now competed in those contests, and they started the trend, and it was always unfair to them, and so now it's equally unfair for everybody.
Yeah, I look, there's been a lot of changes in the last few years from what it used to be up until 2018. And then, for some, like, for example, it was funny. Eric and I were talking about this the other day. We're at 28 semifinalists right now, but Louisa, there were only 14 semifinalists the year that you were there. And so really in reality, if you were at the semifinals, you pretty much were top 14 in the world. And now it's top 28. And then, like, for example, with Linda Marie, she did it online and she's now done this in person. There's been a lot of changes within what's going on. Rich or Louisa, any thoughts about like that 48-hour period? Well, again, Rich, you may not have had that situation, but like Louisa, you know, I know you had it. Any thoughts on where your mind was or where things were for you?
Great question. Thank you so much, Jeff. And what I'm about to say might shock people, and I'll probably get stoned later, as in rocks thrown at me, because I know a lot of you put so much time and dedication into your speech because you're already thinking, I'm going to make it to the semifinals, and then I'm going to need a good speech when I make it to the finals. So I had a great speech lined up for finals just in case I made it to that level, just in case. I remember getting in a lift, and we were going to go eat at a restaurant, and my mentor said, hey, did you know she's one of the top 144 best speakers in the world? And that's because I had just made it to the regionals. And then from there, I went to one of the top 14. So then when I went to one of the top 7, anything else was just icing on the cake. I had never been that far, ever. So when I met the audience and people come up to me and said, oh my gosh, I loved your semifinal, blah, 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 I could not, in all honesty, continue with the speech I had written because to me, it was too depressing. So the night before, Friday night, in my hotel room, I rewrote my intro and my ending to my final speech. That's why it might not look smooth, it might not have been cohesive, but I did that because I didn't, in all honesty, think that what I had prepared was going to go over well. Too many people had talked about depressing issues, and I didn't want to be one of those people. So I jazzed it up, went out there, and I said, hey, I'm already one of the top 14. I couldn't have asked for more. So that's what I did. And again, more respect to those of you that go out there and practice 2 or 3 months in advance. At the last minute, I changed stuff. I'm so glad I did because I had fun with it. And to me, if I'm not having fun with it, the audience is going to know. So have fun with your speech, and then the audience is going to grab up on all that energy. That's my 2 cents, Jeff. Sorry.
I look at Eric. It looks like you have a reaction to that.
Well, listen, Jeff, you know, as someone who has coached me for many, many years, my reaction is, Louisa, you got to do table topics and win district many, many times because I cannot do what you just described. For me, anyways, you know, when I compete in Las Vegas, I was talking to corporate about some things, you know, travel, you know, airfare, that type of thing. They let me know that in Las Vegas, that was the largest international convention in the history of Toastmasters. So, which means you had the largest international audience, close to 3,000 people in Vegas. Louisa, I don't have the heart to take that chance. So God bless you. Hey, you just inspired me. That's my thought on that, Jeff.
Well, and it's funny because, and I will say this, which is, you say that about they told you that. We know for a fact that the Chicago audience just alone in 2018. I mean, I know because I couldn't find a seat. I was all the way in the back. It was standing room only, and there was probably about 3,500 people in that room that day. So it's kind of amazing. We are live. We're talking about the World Championship of Public Speaking. Thanks to Midwest Speaking Professionals, MSP is the place to be. We love for you to come by. Actually, tomorrow we have a meeting. It's at 6 p.m. Central Time. I don't know what that is, UTC. Everything I hear UTC, I keep thinking about Universal Cutting Tool, and that's a lightsaber for me, but that's just me. But again,
real quickly before you move on, Jeff, sorry, I know I cut in some time. Everybody know that also we are live on YouTube. Right now we're live on YouTube, so we're going to put the link there. Please share out. Also, please, I'm loving the comments. Bring them in. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from the audience. We love you so much out there. So back to Jeff's.
Yeah, so, but let's get to it. I know people have thoughts about who they saw, what they saw in the last yes, on Thursday, I'm going to start with the person who I know probably has the most thoughts, and then work from there. Because I know I spent 2 hours on the phone listening to Linda Marie talk about this. So we'll start there. Linda Marie, what would you say were the trends or the things that you saw that were unique or different, or things that you just saw in general from semifinals? And I want that opinion from all you guys. Feel free to chime in.
Yeah. So for me, I had 4 years in corporate finance. I'm a numbers person. I'm an analytical. That's what I am. And what I saw this year was there must be a new judge's guide. There must be a new list of judging criteria, because I based my analysis of the semifinals based on the judges' criteria, primarily the second page. And I have my own scoring thing. I've got a questionnaire that I use that is actually the judges' criteria broken into just a questionnaire that's much easier for me to put points on than looking at this thing on the front. But it's all based on what the judges' criteria is. And based on using the judges' criteria, I had 4 of the same picks for them for the 8 finalists, but I had 4 that the judges did not select as finalists. And in fact, 2 of the judges' picks for finalists, and I have this whole scoring mechanism. I got Excel spreadsheets. 2 of the finalists I had in positions number 25 and 27 of the 28 contestants. I had them at the bottom of the list, and the judges have 2 of them as finalists. So there's something different this year. It seems like, in my opinion, we've moved away from message and manner of speaking, i.e., I want you to be fully revealed. I want to know who you are after you speak to me. I want to know something about you and your heart and your soul. And I want to know what messages you've got for me that I'm going to remember, not only next week, but in 6 months. I guarantee you right now, if we took a poll of the audience that watch the semifinals, I guarantee you could not tell me the messages of the 8 finalist speech. And it's only 2 days later. And that tells me something, that we're moving away from message and we're moving more into performance art getting points. Whoever is the most performative on stage seems to wow the judges, which is, to me, that's not about speaking. This is not a preaching contest. This is not a performance art. This is not an acting contest. This is a speech contest. And we have criteria for it. And I think we're moving away from it a little bit. That's my opinion.
Okay,
over
Jeff.
to you.
Hey, Jeff, I got to move in on this, if you'll allow me. That is, we're moving towards performance. Well, you haven't seen Toastmasters as long as I have. We have moved from speaking to performance, back to speaking to performance, back to speaking, and now to performance again. It shifts every few years. Every 5 to 6 years, you'll see a movement. You'll also realize that, obviously this contest is completely subjective. There was a region, which was the semifinals in my day, where I took first. And I found out from somebody who was a voting judge, or not a voting person, who saw who voted for what, that even though I took first, there was one person who left me off the ballot entirely. So I would have been 25th or 28th, on Linda Marie's ballot in that situation. But you don't know what other people are thinking, what other people are looking for, even if everybody's looking at a judging ballot. So it's something to keep in mind, that everybody wants something different. Everybody thinks something different. And everybody who went to the semifinals is a fantastic speaker who has done some amazing things. The problem is they're up against a whole bunch of other people who are exactly in that situation. And that's what we're going to see today. We're going to see some speeches that we don't like. We're going to see some speeches that we do like. But the speeches that we like and don't like, other people are going to love and other people are going to hate. And then when we have our winner, no matter what we think, in 2 months, we're all going to think they're great because of that confirmation bias that we all want to root for that champion because they're champions and they were awesome no matter what.
Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts. Sharuk's comments here in the chat there's something to what he's saying here, which is it's one of the hardest things for a judge to do this in 1 minute and takes skill and experience. There's so many things I can say to that, but it's not my place to say it. We have experts for that. With that, I see Eric chomping at the bit, so I'll let him go.
Sure. I think that the comments from people that are putting messages in from the audience as well as our panelists are absolutely correct. I just want to add on to that. When we're speaking, it comes down to one thing: connection. And as a contestant, you've got your gestures, you've got your words, you have your message. And, you know, this contest is, let's face it, it is a little bit about performance. You look at the people that won. The most famous, Darren LaCroix. And I know speaking has shifted, right, to more conversational. What did Darren do? He fell down. 2015, Muhammad Katani came out, started to smoke a cigarette. So there are things that allow people to connect in the performance arena. But here's who's going to win today. Who is connected the most to their message and ultimately connected to the audience? Because I love what Ed Tate says. The audience always decides. The audience always decides. And if you've got that audience, if you can feel that connection, good things are going to happen.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Okay. I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that because I don't know that I go ahead, Louisa.
With that, of course, exactly what someone just said. We can all think that the speaker is one of the greatest speakers, but yet I bet the 5 of us here or the 6 of us here could not agree on who should win today. And because of that, anytime I give a keynote, I always end it with, I am no better than anyone. I just said the right thing at the right time to the right judges on the right day. That's all it is. That's all it comes down to. The right thing at the right time to the right judges on the right day. It's like Las Vegas. It's take a gamble, and here we go. And there's going to be half of the people that said she shouldn't have won, and the other half are going to say you were amazing. So go out there and just have fun with this contest. Do what you got to do, and roll the dice and see what happens. And to me, that's just wow me. That's all I want. And you can have performance and a good speech, because somebody was saying we've shifted from performance to a speech to performance. You know what? Hey, do both. You can do both. Perform great and give an awesome speech. You should win. There you go. You should win.
I want to jump in there and say something else too about the semifinals. It was interesting to me that my top 8, if I just look at my scoring across the board and I took all 28 and put them in order of my scores, 4 of my top 8 were in semifinal 4. None of the semifinal 3 did I have in the final 4. So what's interesting is that you get an advantage if you've got other people in your semifinal that, that suck, because then you're going to go on, even if you're not great, even if you're not as good as anybody in semifinal 4. I think didn't they used to do it where everybody was in one thing and everybody got scored, all 28 or all however many, or has it always been this? I don't know how the history has been, but I think that there has been benefit to people just because of what semifinal they got placed in. And had they been in a different one, they wouldn't have made it through. That's kind of interesting to me.
Well,
it's not about how great you are.
Districts.
You could say that about, you could. You really could. True that. And I just wanted to say, someone had said in the chat box that the judge's ballot really doesn't have anything about message, but it should. It is exactly what speech value is. If you look at what speech value is, it's all about message and all about, is it an important message, and is it an original message, and is it adding to the ideas that you have? Is it an idea that adds to the way you think in the world? So message and how it impacts your life is absolutely 15. It's actually 15 points on the judge's ballot. Back to you.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, okay. We'll go to Eric, and then we'll go. I do have a couple of comments I want to get to. So.
Before we get to Eric, Eric, real quickly, we got to bring in the love for the audience. So Absolutely. We have some people here.
Yep.
I'm going to read off as the contest is storytelling format, having some slightly agitated gestures and voice is crucial to bring the story to life. That being said, do it too much is a no-no. We got another comment here. Nothing says you need to tell a story. James Harris, one without a story. We got to throw out stories now. No, stories are important. Was just going to say that. So we just, like I said, showing the love. Please keep in with the comments. Eric, I'm going to come to you.
Okay, Alexander, great point. I wanted to second something to what Louisa said. And this goes out to all the contestants, whether you've made it to the finals or not. Here's what it comes down to. There are so many factors that go into this contest. For example, when I competed in semis in 2018 in Chicago, there were 11 contestants in my semifinal. 11. That means if you do the math, you've got a full hour and a half from speaker number 1 to speaker number 11. Now, fortunately, and Jeff was sitting behind me when I pulled the jack card, which means I was number 11 as a speaker. Fortunately, I spoke last. Just, there's so many things, and this kind of just seconds what everyone's saying. You just never know. It's the semifinal you're in, and this is up for debate, and it's always going to be up for debate. Speaking order does play a part in some things. Where are you in the lineup? Are you following a strong speaker? Are you following a not so strong? Are you following someone who's got a similar title? Someone who's got a similar message? There's a lot of different things, okay? Are you following someone that brought the audience down? Okay, there's just a lot of different factors. Thank you, Louisa, for shaking your head. And so we just never know. But what we do need to do as contestants is control what you can control. Your message, your delivery, and your content.
I do want to, as long as Eric's talking about along these lines, I want to bring something in here. Because I really felt like I had hit deja vu on Thursday morning when Anastasia Pelosis got on stage, and I found out that as the last of the speakers in that semifinal, she was from the Bahamas, and I really had a deja vu moment from back in Chicago, which brings me to a question. You have somebody in the finals who this is their home country. This is where they're from. They're going to be on stage. They're one of the 8. If you're a competitor right now and you know that, where's your mind? What's your thought process? What are you thinking about this? Is this something that's even in your thought process? And I see Louisa's reaction be like, oh my, because she didn't have to deal with it. But, and I will say this, I think this is different than when Eric had to deal with it. I think it's different than when Jim Key had to deal with it because it was in the United States. This is a country we're talking about. So I do think that there's a difference. I think it reminds me a lot of back in 2014, and Rich, you were there, and maybe you can talk about this, where, all everybody was talking about was if Day and Jaya doesn't win, we riot. Kind of feeling. So Rich, maybe you can talk a little bit about this.
Well, my thought, if I'm in that situation, is that I have to beat the other 6 speakers because that person's probably already in. But when I was in Malaysia, I didn't know Dan and Jaya was actually local. I was in my own world because I was competing. But yeah, there was a lot of spirit in the audience when he spoke. not just because he was local, but because it was a fantastic speech. I mean, there was no doubt in the mind of that audience who won that particular contest. So while he might have been the hometown favorite, he also happened to give, in the opinion of most of the people in that audience, the best speech of the day. But, we're always going to face bias. Everyone is going to face bias. Did Jock Elliott have a lot of people on his side after appearing in the finals for the 6th time? And we won't talk about people going overtime in that contest. But then you could talk about Mark Hunter. How many times had he gone? So you have repeat finalists. Do they have halos on their head? There is Brian Wolf of the finalist group put together a spreadsheet that says that return finalists win about 25% of the time you have returning finalists in the World Championship. So I'm betting Mark or Nisha have the inside track today.
Anybody else have thoughts on that? I can't imagine that it's just Rich.
Well, I don't worry about where people are from or if they're the hometown favorite, because as most people know, I don't try to get to the final stage to win first place anyway. I just want to get the largest audience to deliver, whatever message I'm going to deliver. So I'm not so worried about that. And if they have a message that's better than mine and they get the hometown advantage, that wouldn't bother me. That wouldn't bother me at all. Although I think that there's an interest. I am totally against AI. Someone comes to me, they want coaching for their speech, and they tell me AI wrote it for them. I won't even coach them. So I'm against this whole AI thing. But I'm starting to think after this week that maybe AI should do the judging. Then AI would know the judge's criteria, and AI would know what is on the judge's criteria, and the AI might actually judge based on only that criteria, and we would have different results. But so maybe that's in our future. Maybe 10 years down the road, we will have AI judging. Who knows?
I want to support what Linda Marie is saying, because there's only one touch point between a contestant and a judge, and it's that judging form. So if you have judges that are ignoring the judging form or going with their gut instead of going with the numbers on the judging form, they're cheating the contestants, because we have nothing else to go on. Of course, you then have a whole bunch of contestants that are brand new that don't even look at the judging form, but that's a whole nother issue.
What's a judging form? Oh, am I? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Again, these are interesting thoughts on some of this. And Linda Marie, go ahead.
I want to ask a question to you guys.
Linda, before you start, sorry, This is me again cutting in. Just let everybody know real quickly. I hope everybody's enjoying this wonderful event we have with these wonderful past finalists. You see, they're gurus of their kind. I want to just put in on the bottom. We are after this. You know that the contest starts for today to find out who's the 2023, right? Everybody's getting ramped up for it. If you didn't have time to pay to get into the Toastmasters, to look and watch it, us, MSP, yes, the place to be. We're going to be showing it in a Zoom room, a private Zoom room. We're going to have the link. We're going to finish this up at 10:45, and we're going to make sure that you can get on over to the Zoom room so you can watch these finalists do their thing today. So I just want to put that out there, and back to Linda.
Yeah, so I have a question for you guys, and that is, one thing I did notice this time around is people, if you talked about Toastmasters, it seems like the contest is like Fight Club. The one rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. And there were people that actually, their speech was about Toastmasters. And in one case, I thought they should go on to be a finalist. It was a small piece of their speech, but they didn't. That's one question. And the second one is, do you think you're disqualified by judges if you don't say contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, and future gardeners, or whatever, people say? Do you think people get points off? I never have done that, but everyone did that this time I think every contestant in semifinals did. And I wonder if I'm losing points because I'm not doing that. And I call that pandering to Toastmasters or to the judges, because this is an international speech contest. This is not a, Toastmasters guest event. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Just a question.
I want to hear Eric.
I appreciate that, Rich. Well, Linda, to answer your question, I firmly believe the higher you go up in contests, that the more risks you have to take. Because the higher you go up, the smaller the difference between you and the other competitors, and you have to find a way to differentiate yourself amongst the other competitors. That being said, there was one place, me personally, where I played safe, and that is following protocol. So, Rich, my firm belief is if it is accepted in this contest to address the Toastmaster, that should be done. That is what I believe. Other people can believe differently, but for someone who believes in taking risks in this contest, that is one area where I will not.
Now, you never know in the judges if one of them is, a 1995 Toastmaster who still believes that you actually have to do that. And so, as Eric says, it is completely a risk. In terms of talking about Toastmasters, yeah, I was always coached that talking about Toastmasters is a poison pill. But you have world champions who talked about Toastmasters in the world championship speech. Ramona Smith, the biggest example I can think of. People are winning all the time talking about Toastmasters. So it doesn't seem to matter anymore, even though I think it should. But it's another one of those wave things. For a while, it's okay to talk about Toastmasters. For a while, it's not okay to talk about Toastmasters. Back and forth, the pendulum swings, and you never know when that pendulum is going to strike you in the head and knock you out of the contest.
Well, in Rich Denning, yeah, the most great promo. Yeah, I was just going to say, in addition to Ramona, the most watched, at least from what I've seen, world championship speech in history is Dhananjaya's, and he talks about Toastmasters. So I think it depends on the year and the flavor of the contest, and does it support your message is what it comes down to.
Again, this is the Midwest Speaking Professionals pregame show. We're about 45 minutes until it's time. And again, Midwest Speaking Professionals, we meet on Sundays, the 1st and 3rd. As a matter of fact, we meet tomorrow. People should pop in, say hi, hang out, see what we're about and see what we do. And yeah, we certainly want to make sure that we had that out for you guys. Again, and by the way, later on, we're going to talk. We do have a surprise special event that's coming up later in October that I think everyone here is going to be interested in. And we're looking forward to being able to talk a little bit about that later on today. But for now, let's talk about where we're at the moment. We've talked around certain things, so let's get kind of to it. We have a list of 8 finalists. Who do you like and why? And I'll start with people we haven't heard as much from. Well, let's start with. Oh, okay. Marilyn wants us to go speaking order, first, second, thirds. I was going to leave that for a little bit later, Marilyn. I think we'll do that a little bit later in before we go off the air. But we'll start with the who you likes and why, and let them think about. That'll also give them time to think about what order they might want to put people in. So I'll save you on that one. Luisa, why don't you? I know you saw some stuff. I'm sure you have people who really stood out to you of the people who are in tonight to this morning.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm not really sure of the names, and I'm sure you could probably assist me with that. There was a woman that spoke about the little turtle, Emilio, and I thought that was a very relatable speech. I think she might be in the top 3. And then there was the woman that had the sight impediment with the blind walking stick. I think that is also someone who's going to be in the top 3. And I hate to say this, but the other 6, it's up for grabs, in my opinion. Now, I know Linda Marie's not going to agree with me. Rich isn't going to agree with me. Eric's not. And that's the gamble you take. That's the gamble you take. Because if the 5 of us, the 4 of us, 6 of us can't agree, can you imagine the judges? So those are my picks. I didn't see any wow factor like I did 2020 with Mike Carr. He wowed me. He totally wowed me. I'd never seen anybody like him, and I really liked him. These are my 2 picks for top 3, and that 3rd spot is up for anybody. Those are my thoughts, and I'm sticking to it.
You and I are going to talk later about the turtle lady. Yeah, absolutely. Linda Marie, you have a whole system. Any thoughts?
I got a system. Anybody in the chat box want my questionnaire that's based on the judging thing that makes it easy for you to judge the finals? At noon, hit me up in the chat box or send me your email and I'll put it in the chat box. I don't know if you can do that, so you guys can do what I do. My number 1 pick for the whole thing, the highest score I had, didn't even make the finals, but my 2nd and 3rd choice in the numbering of the 28 was Maryam Ghani and Mark Williams. They both, all of my top 8 picks actually had a message, actually had an original message, actually added to my way of thinking in the world. And the other 2 were Sylvia Davis and Nisha Shivram. So, and the other 4 that I had in the finals didn't make it. They had good messages. Anastasia, Jocelyn, Pamela Rodney, and James Harney Jr. I will not put in the top 3 unless, now here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that these 8 finalists saved the best for last, so that we're going to hear an entirely different type of speech. They're saving the messages for the final stage. That's what I'm really hoping. And the rest of it was just, the pablum. Now we're going to get to the meat of it. So that could change. And if anybody wants to hear us break this down, if anyone's on Clubhouse tomorrow, 9 a.m., Toastmasters Clubhouse room, we are going to be talking smack about the finals and who won and the order of it and what we think. So if you're a Clubhouser, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, Eastern Standard Time in Clubhouse, come and we'll be breaking down the finals and who won and all that kind of stuff. Back to you guys.
Okay, real quickly, just going to chime in. Some people have been asking about the Zoom link because we're doing a special viewing of the contest today. So I put the meeting ID and the code in the comments. Please jot that down. We would love to see you in the room so we can all just be cheering for our person and get excited. Back to Jeff.
Okay. So we didn't hear from a couple of people, and let's get to it, because I'm curious what their thoughts are. Rich or Eric, do one of you want to start, or which one wants to finish?
Oh, Eric needs to wait. He's gonna pick it up at the end because he's so opinionated. I'm gonna say that Mark Williams and Nisha, as I said before, have the inside track. I'm gonna say Maryam, because of her disability, is gonna be a favorite. Because that just it hits on people. And then you've got Pamela Rodney online, so you're going to have the automatic. Do we discriminate against the online person, or do we discriminate for the online person? Or should I vote? Am I not voting? It happens all the time. So you got those 4 that I'm going to say have the greatest chance of winning. Was that 4? That was 4, yeah. Oh, but then you've got Anastasia, local. So that's 5 that all have the best chance of hitting the top 3, which tells me this. The 3 that I didn't mention, Sylvia, Jocelyn, and James Harris, they're going to be in the top 3 because nobody's expecting them.
Okay, opinionated one, go.
I am opinionated, but when it comes to picking who's going to win, that's an opinion that I usually don't have. How about this? I'm going to second what everybody said, but what I want to do in Table Topics fashion is spin this over to Linda Marie, because Linda, you're the one who competed both online and in person. If you could share with us, when it comes to the winner, do you feel that a virtual contestant has an advantage or an in-person contestant has the advantage? And I think that may help us determine who's going to walk away with first, second, and third. Linda, over to you.
Yeah, for me, it's not an equal playing field. It's not an equitable playing field. So I think that if I want to win, I'm going to be online, because online, I feel I can beat you, right? Because I can connect with an audience, because every member of the audience is, 18 inches away from me. I'm speaking to them each of them individually. On a stage, there were people in semifinals on the stage that wore glasses that the lights were shining off on. You take those glasses off, put you in some contacts, or just look at your camera at home, you can connect, and I could have connected with them better if they had been online. Secondly, in person there, because they're running 1 and 2 concurrently and 3 and 4 semifinals concurrently, with completely different lighting, completely different camera setup, it wasn't equitable in the space. So if I am going there, I want to make sure, I want to see which room I'm going to be in. I'm going to be upset if I'm in the room with the camera set further back at a weird angle and horrible lighting where you're not going to even be able to see my face. Well, I'm a light bulb on the stage. You couldn't miss me. But I think it's important for people to take that into consideration. It can make the difference of you moving forward or not. It made the difference for 2 candidates last year that I believe did not move on to finals because and when you think about it, in a hybrid contest, half of the judges are virtual, which means half of the judges aren't here in the audience to be able to see what's happening. All they see is what you're seeing on the screen. Bad lighting, camera set further back. I don't think it's equal. So maybe we go to 2 things. We have one online contest and we have one in person, and the in-person one, everybody's in the same room with the same lighting. Let's make it equal. Let's make it equitable.
Jose, so we had this question earlier from Kathy Hansen, and this seems like a good time to get to it. Only one online contestant in the finals and far fewer online contestants than last year. Would have thought the trend would have gone the other way since online contestants like Alexander, who is joining us today, did so well last year. Were you surprised by the fact that so many were in person, or what do you find? I mean, let's get on it. I mean, I know all you have opinions.
Last year, Jeff, what does that mean? We had one finalist who was online who placed. Everybody else was in person. We have not had an online world champion in a hybrid contest yet. So right now, it's still the trend to be in person if you want to win or place. 2 out of the 3 placers were in person. Now, if Pamela wins today, you will see a lot more people compete online next year.
I think that there were more people in person because it's the Bahamas. And if I was on the finals, got to finals or got to semifinals this year, I would have gone to my hotel room and competed virtually from the Bahamas from my hotel room than to be on the stage, given the stage lighting that I saw, and that because they Toastmasters must bring the lighting with them. They don't arrange lighting specialists there because it was the same problem last year that they're having this year. But that's just me. I think everybody's there in person because it's the Bahamas and people want to be in the Bahamas.
Except that the audience in the Bahamas is really, really small. If you look at the number of people who are actually at the conference this year, it is not even close to past years, other than past years since the pandemic. Before the pandemic, lots and lots of people, but we're still not getting everybody to return. I think competing in person is, I would never compete online if I didn't have to, but that's me.
Yeah, I just want to add my thoughts on this. Linda, I agree with you on a lot of things. This one, I'm going to disagree. Me personally, I'm still trying to get comfortable connecting on a deep level virtually online. Just my thing. I'm a lot more comfortable in person. I just like the energy of the room. I feel you can, as we know, speaking is not a monologue, it's a dialogue. I feel that back and forth energy, right, allows me as a speaker to connect more on a deeper level. But I'm going to add something that hasn't been talked about, and that's after the contest. I feel that, Mike Carr and some of the other Verity, they didn't have their moment on stage when they won. One of the greatest things about this contest and having the community around you is enjoying that moment, whether you win or not. Just having the camaraderie, rubbing shoulders with the other contestants, other people from around the world that you've seen online, you've connected with. But, when you get that trophy, now you're celebrated, right? And I think to have that moment for these contestants in person is like none other, that I feel you don't get online. That's just one of the side benefits of being in person, is you get that big moment and you're allowed to celebrate that for the days, that the contest continues on. So that is a side benefit to people that are considering, do I go, to the actual convention? Do I go online? In addition to your comfort level presenting as well. So something to take into account.
Louisa, I know you have thoughts on this too.
Absolutely. I remember both Aaron Beverly and Kuan Yu Yang. As soon as I placed, they both looked at me and said, your life is about to change dramatically. And I had no idea what they were talking about, because then it was very Secret Service, very hush hush. We were rushed, and I mean rushed. We were running through the downstairs kitchen of this hotel to where they could take us to where we would be behind the velvet rope. And I looked, and the line was so long. I remember calling my best friend and saying, I am more popular right now than the iPhone, because there are people in line for hours. Some people waited 4 hours just to take a picture with some of us, or just to talk to us, or just to be next to it. That's crazy. And you miss all of that when you're online. And
Rockstar Louisa.
I pray that when Mike Carr and Verity Price and all these people that competed online, when they don't go to a convention, I pray that they were greeted just the same way I was in that year, because they miss that. And that to me was one of the highlights. I didn't care if I was third or first or second. I didn't care. It was just a wow thing. Totally wow. I was so impressed that day. I was like, wow, more popular than the iPhone. Here we go.
When Louisa, even as a semifinalist in Vegas, I was grabbed by security, right? And whisked away through, hundreds of screaming Toastmasters. They brought me into the public relations room. They put a camera right in front of me, and I got interviewed for about 35, 40 minutes, right? You made it feel like a rock star. I mean, you're signing autographs. I mean, it's unbelievable. And like you said, I want that for all the contestants.
So before we go any further, I got to do this, which is, because two people here who are with us, I had conversations with on their second trip to go to the finals, and both of them didn't think that they were going to have that situation when they got there the second time. And both of them can attest that they were a little surprised that they had rock star status when they showed up the second time when they were there. I'll start with Linda Marie in the fact that 2 days beforehand I called you up. I go, make sure you have a body person.
You told me that for days, and I'm like, dude, that was 2 years ago. I didn't win. I came in second, and he said, no. And get this, it's COVID. Like, it was last year in Nashville. You had to wear like a red if you don't want people within a mile of you, or green, or on your name tag thing, and everybody's wearing masks. And so and my husband, who was post lung transplant, is like, you wear a mask. I get there. Oh my God, it's Linda Marie. Can I take a picture with you? Are you Linda Marie? Oh my! And within 30 minutes, my face went naked. I said, screw the mask. There was hugging, and I came home, tested COVID positive, that like within a few hours of being home, and it was so worth it. I had to be complete isolation for a month away from my husband, but it was because Jeff was right. Because in 2020, when I came in second, I hadn't even been a Toastmaster for a year yet. So I didn't know about this whole thing. I came in second, then they turned the cameras off, and my husband said, hey, it's your turn to clean the cat box out. And then we went to the grocery store, and that was the end of it. And it was like, it wasn't, because I found Jeff, and I didn't even know Jeff then. And he's like, he brought me on this show thing. And it was like, wow, somebody cares that I came in second. Somebody's going to remember me. But when I went into last year, it was rock star status. And I know Alexandra's gone, but it was so funny because he was one of the finalists last year with me. And he was in the briefing for the finalists. He's like, hey, everybody, let's all agree that after the contest, you guys go to your hotel room, and then we'll all get in line and we'll have a party. Like the finalists will all have a party. And I'm like, dude, like, you should be here in Nashville. You're going to experience what I experienced in 2020, which is, it's game over for you, but we are partying here. So I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be going to the hotel room and getting online so we can all, have a party together. But good luck with that. But you come in person next year, and then you'll get celebrated. But it was, but it's funny. Being there is unbelievable. You are a rock star, an international rock star. And there were autographs and pictures, and I have Airbnb all over the world for free. I can go anywhere in the world now and stay with a Toastmaster and travel the world. And I may do that and do a speech about it. But anyway, back to you guys.
It would be hilarious, Linda Marie, if you competed in your hotel room, placed, and then showed up downstairs in person and freaked everybody out.
Hey, don't think I won't do it next year. I'm coming for it. Louisa and I have already declared we are on the final stage. Right, Louisa? We are there. It's a done deal. Get ready for it.
Jeff, I have the quick final word on this. Tiffany, your comment, absolutely. Thank you once again for making that full-length banner for me in Chicago, making me feel special. Tiffany Howard, thank you so much. All right, just had to get that in, Jeff.
Hold on a second. Before we go there, and then we do have to start to wrap up, and I have one question for you all, and we'll wrap it up. But for the record, as somebody who watched this, I tried to convince a certain individual when they walked into conference that people were going to have seen their speech, and a certain individual said to me, oh no, I'm going to slip in under the radar. And a few hours later, I meet up with Eric, and he's like, everybody knows who I am. And I couldn't stop laughing.
Well, Jim Key, the 2003 winner, said it best. When you're doing the speaking order for the finals, he says, everyone, I want you to know one thing. Anonymity is no longer in your future. As a finalist, if you want to hide under the radar, it will not happen. Good luck. Have a great contest.
So
I'm going to kick in because time is of the essence. People are going to have to move over if they want to either see the contest with us or if they have their own links. We want to give you that time. It is 10:39. I've been checking the time out because I don't want anybody missing this wonderful contest that's going to be today for Toastmasters. And it takes time, when we're on the computer, you know how things go. So with that, real quickly, and Jeff, I know I'm hijacking, but I have to make sure that we give this time to everybody. First, two announcements. One, the Zoom link is below. Somebody said it wasn't working. The reason, because I haven't opened up the room yet. It is working. We just haven't opened the room yet. That will be around 10:45. So we'll make sure you can get in the room. If you have bought a link and you want to have fun with us, come on into the Zoom room. We would love to have you. And also to let everybody know that we will be sending out a free gift from MSP regarding competing in the contest. And I know Linda Marie has something too that she's going to be doing as well. So with that, I just want to just wrap it up. Jeff, if we can wrap it up really, really quick. And then we have that special announcement we want to do for October because we're having another big extravaganza event.
It's funny. Dan asked a question way at the beginning and I was saving it for last. And ironically there, Barbara puts it up. But I need you guys to be brief, like table topics brief. He asked the question, why do you keep coming back and doing it? And I think that's a great question to end on. Why do you guys keep coming back to do it?
Growth.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
I haven't found anywhere else where you can deliver a message to the world and they can't cut your mic. In 2020, over 50,000 people were watching and listening. And it is a speech that can be heard around the world and can actually impact lives. I don't find anywhere else, any other competition, any other group where you can get, unless maybe you're one of the top TED speakers, that where you get that kind of impact in the world. So that's why I compete.
Okay. Louisa and Rich.
Oh, Louisa, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I joined Toastmasters for one reason only. Oh, I'm going to take off my glasses there so we don't get reflection. I've learned. There you go. I joined Toastmasters for one reason only, and it's because this is my life. It's not what Toastmasters was, but I compete against myself in every single thing I do. So when I saw somebody in a Toastmaster meeting, my first Toastmaster meeting was a humorous contest. And I listened to the guy and I said, I'm funnier than he is. I bet I could win. And that's when I started back in 1987. I was with that group for 3 years. And I joined Toastmasters to compete. And when I do reach first place in the world, it's going to be sad because then I won't be able to compete anymore. So I'm okay with getting second for the next 8, 17, 20 times that I compete, because that just means I can keep competing. I love Toastmasters, the ability that it gives me that I can compete. I'm here for that. I compete against my mom on who's going to mow their yard faster. I compete with anybody on anything. I just love competing. And losing just makes you a better competitor. Thank you.
And we'll round up with Rich.
I was born with a disability. My left leg, smaller, shorter than my right leg. So I limped my entire life. I competed my entire life. I was constantly told I was not good enough. I was not as good as other people. And so whether I was playing chess, racing people on the playground, doing tests in school, everything for me was competition to prove that I was enough, that I was good enough. And this is the first time I've ever talked about that in terms of this contest, because people say, Rich, you just love to compete. And I always say, no, I love to get better. And I just love being with other people and all that bullshit. I love to compete. I love to win. I love to be on stage and prove myself. Ultimately, yeah, it's a competition against myself. And ultimately, I have no control over the result. But I have competed 19 out of 24 years in Toastmasters because I love the opportunity to get on stage and rock it. Give that audience something they've never seen before. have the other contestants look at me and go, wow, I want to be able to do that. And then there are the times when I lose and I think, crap, I didn't do enough and I lost to myself. And both those feelings compel me to compete every single year, because I am going to continue to prove till I am dead that I am good enough, win or lose. Win anyway.
Powerful.
Well, I don't think you need a trophy to prove that. You are 100%. I want to thank Rich. I want to thank Linda Marie. I want to thank Louisa and Eric for hanging out. I want to thank all the people who hung out today, who gave amazing questions and hung out and checked out with us. But I did promise you guys something a little special that we've got coming up. And I think now's a good time for a reveal.
Okay.
So it was going to be a little bit of a surprise. So yeah, October 15th. You don't want to miss it. And again, Barbara Beckley, spectacular job, great job again. Thanks to everybody from MSP. Thanks for all the people who came, hung out, did all the cool stuff. Hopefully, if you've got a place to watch it, go check it out. If not,
check it out. Come to us. Come to us. There's the link. There's the link.
Yeah,
there's the password. Come to MSP. We want to party with you. We'll have music.
Absolutely.
I don't have food, but I can't do the food.
Well, I got this true. I don't know about you, but that's what the next 15 minutes are for. You got a little bit of time. Go get a sandwich. Get whatever you want to eat. Hang out. Bring your snacks. Get what you want to drink, and let's get ready to rumble. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great day. Enjoy the contest. And again, thanks.
Enjoy the contest, everybody. Great job, everybody.